Have you ever come across a user guide?
A user guide,
Yeah, for a leader.
like an instruction manual
Yeah,
for their leadership style.
exactly. That's what we're diving into today.
Interesting.
It's not a bio, not a resume.
Right.
This is Bruno's unique, I guess, approach to leadership, laid out almost like an instruction manual for working with him. It's
Huh.
called How to Bruno.
How to Bruno.
Yeah, and I have to admit, the name made me
Yeah.
kind of chuckle at first, but there's a story behind it.
I bet there is.
Right.
Yeah, so there is.
Okay.
An employee at one of his startups said, Bruno should be a verb,
Wow.
like implying his very specific, unique way of doing things.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it really stuck with him. And it really speaks to the self-awareness, the intentionality that he brings to leading.
Okay, so in a way, this guide is about Brunoing things.
You could say that. You could definitely say that. It's about understanding the why and the how behind his approach.
Yeah,
So you can work better together, right?
yeah.
He even includes a TLDR.
TLDR.
Too long, didn't read,
Ah, okay.
to summarize his core values.
Okay, and what are those?
So they're pretty clear. Simplicity, consistency, repeatability, bidirectional coaching, and transparent actions.
It's a good foundation,
Yes.
but he gets even more specific.
Oh, yeah, he
Yeah.
totally does. So he incorporates these really interesting personal insights using colors like red, blue, yellow, green to represent different aspects of his personality.
Huh, interesting.
And he even mentions he's an Enneagram Type 7, which is known for being enthusiastic and spontaneous.
It's not every day you see a leader willing to be that open. Have you ever encountered this level of self-awareness
It's pretty rare.
in a leader?
Yeah.
Or even considered laying out your own style like this?
Putting it all out there like that.
Yeah.
It's a bold move, for sure.
It's like he's saying, this is me, warts and all. Now let's figure out how best to work together.
It's refreshing, honestly.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the leadership principles come in.
Okay.
It's not just about quirky self-description. It's about translating those insights into actionable ways of working.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and he jumps right in.
Yeah.
One thing that struck me was this emphasis on first principles thinking.
Right. Like always questioning assumptions.
Yeah.
Going back to the fundamental why behind a decision or a project.
It's so interesting, yeah.
He really encourages his team to challenge the status quo
Yeah.
instead of just blindly following
Yeah.
set processes, established processes.
Almost like how startups disrupt industries
Exactly.
by questioning the very foundation of how things are done.
100%.
And he's fostering that
Yeah.
within his team.
Yeah, he's really encouraging vulnerability, open communication.
Right.
He even references Brene Brown's work
Oh, wow.
on vulnerability and leadership,
Mm. Yeah.
creating a space where people feel safe to take risks and, really learn from their mistakes.
It's not all about brainstorming, though.
No,
He balances this with decisiveness.
he does.
He calls himself a hopeful hyper-realist.
Hopeful hyper-realist, yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah, what's your take on that?
Well, I don't know. I see it as this blend of optimism,
Right.
but also pragmatism.
Yeah.
Think about Ray Dalio,
Okay.
founder of Bridgewater, and his book Principles,
Right.
where he emphasizes this radical honesty, transparency,
Mhm.
even when it's difficult.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Bruno seems to embrace a similar mindset,
Yeah,
aiming high but staying grounded in reality.
totally.
So there's this balance, right?
Yeah.
Between dreaming big and then being realistic about what it takes to get there.
Right.
And it seems to tie into his communication style.
Okay.
He emphasizes simplicity, short emails,
Mhm.
the rule of three,
The rule of three, I like that.
and this idea of tightening thinking.
Tightening thinking, what is that?
I don't know. What is that?
I mean, I guess stripping away jargon, unnecessary complexity,
Right.
getting to the core of the idea.
It's clear, concise communication
Yeah.
that cuts through the noise.
Yeah, no fluff.
Exactly. So everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, understanding the essence.
And that clarity extends to follow through.
follow through.
He's big on accountability.
Accountability after.
He prefers these concrete scorecards that measure impact
Okay.
over activity reports.
Oh, interesting.
And he hates micromanagement.
Who doesn't?
I know, right?
Yeah.
But instead of hovering over people's shoulders, he sets these clear expectations,
Right.
provides support, and then empowers the team to execute.
That's good leadership right there.
Right. And it goes back, I think I have it written down somewhere. Oh, yeah, here it is. His motto, we say what we do what we say.
Oh, I like that.
It's about building trust. Through consistent action,
Yeah.
he seems to have a real aversion to managing through email.
Managing through email.
Right, he favors systems
Okay.
over quick fixes.
Interesting. I like that.
It's about creating these repeatable processes,
Right.
templates that scale.
Processes and systems. Yeah.
It's like building a well-oiled machine
Yes.
instead of constantly putting out fires.
100%.
And that's where his product mindset comes in.
The product mindset. Okay.
It's interesting how he applies product management principles
Ah.
to every task.
Not just product.
Not just products, yeah.
Interesting.
He takes inspiration from figures like Ben Horowitz.
Venture capitalists.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he asks these, like, crucial questions, right?
Okay. Like what?
Who's the customer?
Okay. Yeah.
What job are they trying to get done?
Yeah.
What's our unique value proposition? Who
Mhm.
are our competitors?
Competitors. Yeah.
How do we measure success?
He's got it all laid out.
He does.
Wow.
And he even references Clayton Christensen's
Oh, Clayton Christensen. Okay.
jobs to be done framework.
Jobs to be done, right?
Yeah, it's about understanding customer needs and motivations.
Totally. Yeah.
I don't know, it just shows this real depth of thought,
It does.
this willingness to borrow best practices
Yeah.
from different fields.
Yeah. 100%.
It makes you wonder how our work would change if we applied these questions
Right.
consistently.
Yeah. Interesting thought.
Right. Something to ponder, I guess, as we move to the nitty-gritty of
Sure.
Bruno's operating model.
Let's do it.
So we've unpacked, the core values, the leadership style, the clarity, the accountability.
It's a lot.
It is, but how does this all translate into an operating model, an actual...
How does this actually work in practice?
Right.
Yeah. This is where it gets fun. I think,
Okay.
Bruno's not all about just high-level principles.
Yeah.
He's obsessed, I think, with the practicalities of making things happen.
And he embraces this idea of, like, more is less. Right.
More is less. Yeah, definitely. Not about working longer hours.
Yeah,
It's
no.
about, really maximizing output for every unit of input.
So efficiency.
Yeah. Laser focus on high impact.
Yes. And challenging those common either or.
Oh, the tyranny of the OR.
Yes. The
Yes.
trap of limiting yourself to these binary choices.
Totally. You get stuck debating.
Right? A or B.
Yeah, exactly.
What if it's both?
Yes. What if we can achieve both? How can we make both things happen? It's about expanding possibilities instead of getting bogged down.
It reminds me of that quote, the only limitations are the ones we set for ourselves.
100%.
Yeah.
And it ties into, I think, his approach to meetings.
Okay.
He's big on being prepared.
Yeah.
Maximize efficiency, minimize wasted time,
Yeah.
pre-reads, clear agendas, desired outcomes.
Especially for those one-on-ones.
Yes,
Yeah.
especially for one-on-ones. He's got a structure
Right.
that he follows. It's great. It covers everything from aligning on priorities, discussing roadblocks, to bidirectional coaching, outlining very specific next steps.
Oh, interesting.
The focus is always on action, not just recapping.
Oh, I see. So it's not a...
Not a therapy session.
Yeah. Interesting. And speaking of communication, he likes Driscoll's model of reflection.
What? So what? Now what?
Yeah.
It's such a simple framework,
It is.
but it's so powerful for making sure that, communication is clear, it's impactful, and it leads to something.
Yeah, and he's big on prioritization, too.
Prioritization, yeah.
He uses the Eisenhower matrix.
The urgent important matrix.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
To categorize tasks, make sure you're focusing on, moving that needle forward.
Visualizing where your time and energy are going.
Because we get caught up in the urgent stuff,
100%.
and we neglect those important tasks.
The important but not urgent, yeah.
And to make sure everyone feels ownership,
Yes.
he uses this OARPI method.
OARPI. Okay, what is that?
It stands for owner, approver, reviewers, participants, informed.
Wow, he's thought of everything.
It's all about that clarity,
Yeah.
accountability. Everyone knows their role and responsibilities. It eliminates confusion and empowers people.
To get stuff done.
Yes.
Yeah, love it. It's like you can see the tech background, the love of sports.
Oh, yeah. He
He uses all the sports analogies.
REPs, playbooks.
Playbooks, Moneyball plays.
Yeah, he's drawn to these frameworks, these strategies that emphasize, efficiency, data-driven
Data-driven, yeah.
decisions,
Yeah.
And a drive to win, obviously.
Of course, high-performing teams.
But amidst all these systems and frameworks,
Yes.
he doesn't shy away from personal development. We
Well,
talked about those personality assessments.
Like Insight Colors, Enneagram.
Yeah, it's a real commitment to self-awareness,
Totally.
understanding how those individual strengths and weaknesses contribute to the team.
He wants everyone to kind of be on the same page with that self-awareness.
Yeah, and it goes back to Urs Hölzl, Google's 8th employee.
Oh, yeah, he had a user guide too, right?
Yeah,
Wow, even at Google,
even at Google.
people were seeing the value of this.
Yeah, and Bruno took that to heart.
That's
He
great.
created this user guide collaboratively, seeking feedback from his team, his peers, his boss.
So it's a living document, always iterating.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Cool.
But it boils down to these three core beliefs, right? Simplicity, bidirectional coaching,
Right.
and then the transparency, the follow-through,
He calls it his TLDR.
the TLDR,
Elon? In
his
here.
way of like really distilling everything.
Cutting to the chase.
It makes you think, what would your user guide say?
Oh, that's a great question.
Right.
Yeah. How do I want to work with people? What are my non-negotiables? What are my strengths? Where can I grow?
Right. It's more than a set of instructions.
It's a philosophy.
It's a philosophy, it's a commitment.
Really makes you think about, how we work, how we collaborate. Could this be the key to better teamwork, more effective teams?
In a world that's only getting more and more complex.
Exactly. Something to think about.
Something to think about.